Good morning, dear friends. Already we started with diuretic and antidiuretic hormone chapter. In last lecture, we completed regarding definition of diuretic agent, classification, therapeutic uses. Then we also completed regarding that is water as a diuretic agent. You know that there are four types of diuretic agents. That is according to the potency: weak diuretic agent, moderately potent diuretic agent, highly potent diuretic agent, and fourth one is potassium sparing diuretic. Now in last lecture we completed first type, that is weak diuretic agent. Under weak diuretic agent again there are four types, isn't it? One, that is osmotic diuretic agent, then carbonic anhydrase inhibitor drugs, xanthan alkaloids, and acidifying salts, isn't it? So in last lecture we completed up to weak diuretic agent, that is 4. Now according to classification, second type, this is the first type, that is weak diuretic agent. Under weak diuretic, these are the 4 types. Now second type under diuretic type, that is moderately potent diuretic agent. This is second one, that is moderately potent diuretic agent. Example, that is benzothiazide derivatives, that is those drug molecule containing the basic nucleus, that is benzothiazide. Example of benzothiazide derivatives like thiazide, then chlorothiazide, hydrochlorothiazide, and clopamide. These are the example of drugs belonging to benzothiazide derivatives and used as moderately potent diuretic agent. That is thiazide diuretic, chlorothiazide, hydrochlorothiazide, and clopamide. All these benzothiazide derivatives useful in all types of odema. Already we completed that odema, that is nothing but sodium retention in body. Whenever there is a concentration of sodium increases in body, then the condition that is called as odema. In all types of odema, maybe pulmonary odema, nutritional odema, cardiac odema, any type of odema, in all types of odema, these drugs are going to be effective by the mechanism. Now here, important one that they will be asked, that give mechanism of action of thiazide diuretic agent or benzothiazide derivative or chlorothiazide. So these drugs act particularly at the proximal distal convoluted tubule. Remember that at the portion of nephron, already we completed that nephron, and the portion of these drugs, particularly benzothiazide derivatives, acting at the site that is proximal distal convoluted tubule, where there is an exchange of sodium and potassium take place at this nephron portion, that is at the portion of proximal distal convoluted tubule, there is a exchange of sodium and potassium take place at this region. Now when benzothiazide drug given, these drugs act by inhibiting reabsorption of sodium in renal tubule. These drug decreases reabsorption of sodium in distal tubule. Now initially what happen, when suppose patient with odema condition and if physician prescribe any benzothiazide derivative, maybe thiazide or chlorothiazide drug or hydrochlorothiazide drug, these drug acting particularly at the portion that is distal convoluted portion and thereby inhibiting reabsorption of sodium ion. Now when reabsorption of sodium inhibited, facilitating excretion of sodium, at the same time it causes decrease in ECF volume, that is extracellular fluid volume. ECF volume is going to be decreases, and if this ECF volume, extracellular fluid volume, falls below normal, then action again going to be reversible. Means again there is a reabsorption of sodium take place in renal tubule. Means what? Depending on the ECM volume, action is going to be take place. So these drugs act by inhibiting reabsorption of sodium and thereby facilitating excretion of sodium in body and useful in all types of odema condition. Along with this excretion of sodium ion, these drugs also causes more loss of potassium and thereby leads to process hypokalemia. Hypokalemia, that is nothing but more loss of potassium from body. Along with this, it also causes loss of chloride ion and thereby process hypochloremic alkalosis. Hypochloremic alkalosis, that is nothing but decrease in level of chloride ions in body. That is hypochloremic alkalosis. And when potassium level decreases than normal, then condition is called as hypokalemia. So remember that the major side effect of thiazide diuretic or benzothiazide diuretic, that it causes hypokalemia and hypochloremic alkalosis, means along with loss of sodium, or it decreases reabsorption of sodium, facilitating excretion of sodium from body. Along with this, loss of potassium and loss of chloride ion also take place, and therefore the major side effect, sometimes they will ask mention major side effect of thiazide derivative or thiazide diuretic. So the major side effect that it produces hypokalemia and hypochloremic alkalosis. And in order to overcome this hypokalemia effect, hypokalemia is also dangerous to patient, life of patient, and therefore to overcome this hypokalemia effect, it is always supplemented with potassium. Whenever thiazide diuretic is given to the patient, to edema patient, always given along with the potassium salt, or potassium supplementation should be given along with thiazide diuretic in order to overcome the side effect of thiazide diuretic, that is hypokalemia. Sometimes they will ask in-reason question that explain on why along with thiazide diuretic or along with benzothiazide derivatives potassium supplementation should be given or potassium salt should be given. Sometimes they ask, or why potassium sparing diuretic given along with thiazide diuretic. So in order to overcome the side effect of thiazide diuretic or benzothiazide derivative, that it leads to produces hypokalemia and hypochloremic alkalosis. So to overcome this side effect, which is very dangerous, so to overcome this hypokalemia effect, it is supplemented with potassium salt or potassium sparing diuretic given along with this thiazide diuretics. Generally it is used in the dose of 250 to 500 mg. Sometimes we will ask mention dose, route of administration, and one important use of thiazide diuretic or chlorothiazide or hydrochlorothiazide. So remember that these drugs given in the doses of 250 to 500 mg by oral route of administration. Major therapeutic use, that used in all types of edema. Major side effect or major adverse effect, that it produces hypokalemia and hypochloremic alkalosis. Then you understand that mechanism of action, that these drugs acting mainly at the portion of proximal distal convoluted tissue to sodium potassium exchange region with nephron function, and thereby inhibiting reabsorption of sodium and thereby useful in treatment of edema. So another reason question, that why along with this potassium salt given to the patient or potassium supplementation given. So the major side effect of benzothiazide derivatives, that leads to severe hypokalemia, and to overcome this severe hypokalemia, it is supplemented with potassium salt or potassium sparing diuretic given to the patient. So this is the second type, that is moderately potent diuretic agent. Now the third type under diuretic agent, that is highly potent diuretic agent. So third one is highly potent, or also called as high ceiling diuretic agent. Highly potent or high ceiling diuretic agent. Now here again there are two types of highly potent diuretic agent. One, that is parenteral organic mercurial compound. First type, that is parenteral organic mercurial compounds. Example, ursolite and mercaptomerine. Already we completed under classification. And second type, that is non-mercurial compounds, or also called as loop diuretic agent. Example, furosemide and ethacrylic acid. Isn't it? Let us see first type, that is parenteral organic mercurial compound. These drugs, that is ursolite and mercaptomerine drug, particularly acting by inhibiting action of sulfahydryl group present in renal cortex. Remember that these enzymes, that is enzymes that containing sulfahydryl group, responsible for reabsorption of sodium in body, particularly in renal cortex. There are particular enzymes are going to present, that enzyme containing SH group, that is sulfahydryl group. So those enzymes containing sulfahydryl group having more affinity to the responsible for reabsorption of sodium in body, and when reabsorption of sodium takes place, there is occurrence of edema. Under such a condition, if physician prescribe parenteral organic mercurial compound like ursolite or mercaptomerine compound, these mercurial compounds having more affinity to bind with sulfahydryl group of enzyme. These mercurial compounds having more affinity to bound with sulfhydryl group and thereby inhibiting once mersaline or mercaptomanate drug given, it bound with sulfhydryl group of intracellular enzyme, thereby inhibiting reabsorption of sodium. जर एन्झाइम ऍक्शन ब्लॉक झाली तर रिअब्सॉर्प्शन ऑफ सोडियम आपल्या बॉडी मध्ये होणार नाही and thereby facilitating excretion of sodium from body and thereby useful in treatment of edema. Means by competitive antagonism mechanism, these mersaline or mercaptomanate compound inhibiting action of intracellular enzyme, that is sulfhydryl group of intracellular enzyme, and thereby inhibiting reabsorption of sodium in body and useful in treatment of edema. So these drugs also should not be given by IV route, even these are classified under parenteral route, but should not be given by IV because mercurial compounds if given by IV may precipitate cardiac toxicity, and to overcome this it should be given by intramuscular or by subcutaneous route of administration. Generally used in the dose of 0.2 to 0.5 gram by IM or by subcutaneous route. Sometimes maybe as mentioned dose, route of administration, and one important use of mersaline or mercaptomanate. So these drugs given in the dose of 0.2 to 0.5 gram by intramuscular or subcutaneous route but should not be given by IV. If given by IV, they precipitate cardiac toxicity. How these drugs act? These drugs act by inhibiting action of sulfhydryl group of intracellular enzyme responsible for reabsorption of sodium. This is because mercurial compounds having more activity to bound with sulfhydryl group of enzyme and thereby inhibiting reabsorption of sodium and useful in all types of edema. And this drug also produces hypokalemia and hypochloremic alkalosis, and therefore to overcome this always this mersaline or mercaptomanate also given and along with ammonium chloride. Sometimes they will ask the reason why ammonium chloride given along with the mersaline or organic mercurial compounds. So the major side effect of this drug that also facilitating loss of chloride ion from body that leads to process hypochloremic alkalosis, and to overcome this hypochloremic alkalosis these compounds also supplemented with ammonium chloride compounds. So this is the first type, that is parenteral organic mercurial compounds act by inhibiting action of sulfhydryl group of enzyme, intracellular enzyme responsible for reabsorption of sodium. When mersaline given, this mersaline or mercurial compounds also having more affinity to bound with sulfhydryl group of enzyme and thereby inhibiting reabsorption of sodium and useful in treatment of edema. So second type under highly potent, that is non-mercurial compounds or loop diuretic agent. As the name itself indicating that these drugs acting particularly at the portion of loop of Henle and therefore also called as loop diuretic agent. Example, that is furosemide and ethacrylic acid. These drugs also inhibiting reabsorption of sodium. Remember that all the drug mechanism of action that the maximum diuretic agent act by inhibiting reabsorption of sodium. So furosemide and ethacrylic acid, you know that in market Lasix tablet, Lasix injection available. So that is the trade name for furosemide. Furosemide tablets 40 mg by oral route of administration, IV injectable preparations, intramuscular preparations, that is Lasix injections also available in market. That is these drugs act by inhibiting reabsorption of sodium. And generally these drugs are useful in barbiturate poisoning. Already we completed under barbiturate poisoning that forced diuretic agent like furosemide, ethacrylic acid, mannitol injections given to facilitate excretion of barbiturate drug. So these drugs are useful in barbiturate poisoning also, useful in edema conditions in the dose of 40 mg. Here important one, that is dose, route of administration, and one important use of furosemide. So furosemide tablets injectable preparations available in market, used in the dose of 40 mg by oral route, also given by IV as well as by intramuscular route of administration. Similarly, ethacrylic acid used in the dose of 100 mg by oral route of administration. So these two drugs are important for dose, route of administration, and one important use. Most of the time, that is furosemide is going to be repeated. So 40 mg, trade name for furosemide tablet, that is Lasix tablet, Lasix injection, 40 mg by oral or by IV by intramuscular. Ethacrylic acid used in the dose of 100 mg by oral route of administration. And uses that these drugs are useful in barbiturate poisoning, under drug poisoning cases, also useful in all types of Odema conditions, isn't it? So that is loop diuretic particularly acting at the portion of loop of Henle. So this is the third type, that is highly potent or high sealing diuretic agent. Now the last fourth type of diuretic agent, that is potassium sparing diuretic agent. So fourth one, that is potassium sparing diuretic agent. As the name itself indicating that these agents act by inhibiting excretion of potassium, that is sparing potassium ion and causes loss of sodium, and therefore called as potassium sparing diuretic. Already completed in classification that there are two types. One, that is aldosterone antagonist. Aldosterone antagonist, example spironolactone. And second one, that is aminoloride compounds, that is triamytrine. These are the two types under potassium sparing diuretic, that is aldosterone antagonist, spironolactone, and aminoloride compound, that is triamytrine. Let us see that spironolactone drug, these drugs act by inhibiting aldosterone action. Aldosterone actually it is a male sex hormone responsible for secretion of potassium ion. It causes secretion of potassium and reabsorption of sodium. See that aldosterone, that is a male sex hormone which is responsible, that it causes secretion of potassium, loss of potassium from body and reabsorption of sodium. When reabsorption of sodium increases, that leads to process odema. And that under such condition, when aldosterone antagonist, that is spironolactone drug given, this spironolactone drug act by inhibiting action of aldosterone. That is by competitive antagonism mechanism, it blocks action of aldosterone and thereby decreases reabsorption of sodium as well as spare potassium ion. Opposite action. Aldosterone responsible for secretion of potassium. Potassium the loss करायचा आणि sodium reabsorb करायचा. But when the spironolactone given, there is opposite action. It acts by inhibiting action of aldosterone. It is aldosterone antagonist. Thereby sparing potassium ion, की जे secretion करायचं त्याला spare करेल आणि sodium का loss करेल. That means what? By inhibiting action of aldosterone, this drug causes sparing of potassium ion, reabsorption of potassium and secretion of sodium, loss of sodium from body and thereby useful in treatment of odema. So remember that this spironolactone drug act by inhibiting aldosterone mechanism. That is aldosterone, that is hormone secretion responsible for more loss of potassium and reabsorption of sodium. But when spironolactone given, it blocks the action of aldosterone. It is aldosterone antagonist and thereby inhibiting reabsorption of sodium and also causes sparing of potassium. And generally these are the weak diuretic agents. Generally given along with thiazide diuretic. Before this you completed that these drug thiazide diuretic given along with the potassium salt or along with the potassium sparing diuretic. So in order to overcome the side effect of thiazide diuretic and this to maintain the level of potassium, these two drugs given in combination. So most of the time they will ask in revision question that why potassium supplement or potassium sparing diuretic like spironolactone given along with thiazide diuretic. So thiazide diuretic that causes more loss of potassium, and to overcome this, potassium sparing diuretic given to the patient, that is useful in odema, which is synergistic action. Similarly, another example, that is triamytrine, also act by sparing potassium ion and causes excretion of sodium, that is decreases reabsorption of sodium and thereby used as a potassium sparing diuretic agent. So these are the four types of diuretic agent. Now one more point in this chapter, that is short note on antidiuretic hormone ADH. So these are the four types as per classification: weak diuretic agent, moderately potent, highly potent, and last one is potassium sparing. Now the next point in this chapter, that is ADH, that is also called as antidiuretic hormone. Antidiuretic hormone, that is ADH. Sometimes they may ask write a note on antidiuretic hormone or write a note on ADH. This ADH that is also called as vasopressin agent. Remember that this antidiuretic hormone also that is called as vasopressin agent. Now this antidiuretic hormone, this ADH, released from posterior lobe of pituitary gland. It is released from posterior lobe of pituitary gland along with oxytocin. Oxytocin that is used as a vasopressin agent. So it is released from posterior lobe of pituitary gland along with oxytocin, and therefore it also called as vasopressin agent. That is vasopressin action, same as like oxytocin, and therefore this ADH that is also called as vasopressin agent. Now here the release of antidiuretic hormone ADH release, it depends on state of hydration. Whenever there is a dehydration condition, suppose in body if there is a stimulation of ADH occurs, there is a dehydration. Whenever dehydration, that stimulating ADH function and decreases urine flow and urine formation, and thereby produces oliguria condition. Oliguria, that is nothing but decrease in urine flow and urine formation. So this action occurs because the release of ADH, it depends on state of hydration. Means whenever there is a dehydration condition, आपल्या बॉडी मध्ये जेव्हा वॉटर लेवल कमी होईल, डिहायड्रेशन जेव्हा होईल, that stimulating ADH action, ADH release, and when ADH release occurs, antidiuretic hormone release takes place, it causes decrease in urine flow and urine formation. That means it produces oliguria condition. Particularly drugs like morphine, barbiturate, even nicotine, these drugs when given to the patient leads to process dehydration. जेव्हा हे ड्रग आपण पेशंटला देतो, particularly morphine, barbiturate, nicotine, when given to the patient leads to process dehydration, and because of dehydration it causes decrease in urine flow and urine formation, that leads to process oliguria condition. आपण ऑलरेडी याच्यामध्ये morphine poisoning मध्ये, barbiturate poisoning मध्ये बघितले that this drug produces oliguria because it's stimulating ADH. Why? Whenever there is a hydration condition, whenever there is a hydration, for example alcohol, then chlorpromazine, these drugs produces hydration, and because of hydration it inhibiting the release of ADH and thereby increases urine flow and urine formation. Means what? Whenever there is a dehydration, there is a oliguria. Whenever there is a hydration condition, increases urine flow and urine formation. Particularly drugs like alcohol, chlorpromazine, these drugs causes hydration, and due to hydration it blocks the release of ADH from pituitary gland and thereby stimulating increasing excretion of water, that is excretion of sodium from body, and produces diuretic action. You know that water as a diuretic, action by inhibiting ADH release. Whenever there is inhibiting ADH release, produces hydration and thereby increases urine flow and urine formation. So already completed that water used as a physiological diuretic agent by producing hydration condition, thereby stimulating increasing urine flow and urine formation by inhibiting ADH release. But whenever there is a dehydration, it produces oliguria condition. And the deficiency of antidiuretic hormone ADH, it leads to produces diabetes insipidus. Remember that whenever there is a deficiency of ADH, it leads to process diabetes insipidus. So particularly these drugs are useful in diabetes insipidus condition. These are patient diabetes insipidus. There are two types: diabetes mellitus and diabetes insipidus. Diabetes mellitus occurs due to dysfunctioning of pancreas, insulin decrease, while diabetes insipidus occurs due to deficiency of ADH. So in this ADH or antidiuretic hormone particularly useful in diabetes insipidus condition. So the pharmacological action of ADH, that first major action that is on kidney. By acting on kidney, whenever there is a stimulation of ADH release occur from posterior lobe of pituitary gland, it leads to process dehydration. And because of dehydration, there is a decrease in urine flow and urine formation. That is leads to process oliguria condition. While opposite condition occurs, whenever there is hydration, increases urine flow and urine formation. In addition to this, also produces action on cardiovascular system and thereby increases hypertension condition in patient. So this is, and whenever there is a deficiency occurs, it leads to process diabetes insipidus condition. So particularly patricin injection. These patricin injections available in market, used as a vasopressin agent, and useful in diabetes insipidus. But the side effect of anti-diabetic hormone that is given to woman may lead to back pain and back ache in woman. Because of vasopressin action, it leads to back pain and back ache in woman. But majorly useful in treatment of diabetes insipidus. So sometimes they will ask, write a note on anti-diabetic hormone, short note on ADH. So remember that ADH that is released from posterior lobe of pituitary gland along with oxytocin and therefore also called as vasopressinogen. And the release of ADH that depends on state of hydration and dehydration. Whenever there is a dehydration, there is stimulating ADH release, and thereby produces oliguria. Whenever there is a hydration, decreases ADH stimulation, and thereby produces increase in urine flow, urine formation. So drugs like morphine, barbiturates, nicotine produces dehydration that leads to process oliguria, while hydration stimulating action, depressing action, and thereby produces increase in urine flow and urine formation. So, and the major side effect that it produces back pain and back ache in women, and the deficiency of ADH that is called the diabetes insipidus. So this is regarding short note on anti-diabetic hormone. Here we finish full chapter that is anti-diabetic hormone. आता MSBT पर्यंत जोपर्यंत गाईडलाईन येत नाही तोपर्यंत आपण ऑनलाईन लेक्चर्स हे चालू राहतील. जेव्हा जसे गाईडलाईन येतील तुम्हाला व्हॉट्सअप ग्रुपवरती देण्यात येतील आणि त्यानुसार आपलं फिजिकली चालू होऊ शकतं. मे बी या 8 ते 10 दिवसामध्ये जशा गाईडलाईन येतील त्यानुसार तुम्हाला नोटीस देण्यातच येईल. सो कंप्लीट द नोट्स. आतापर्यंत जेवढा सिलेबस झालेला आहे सगळ्यांनी ह्या नोट्स सगळ्या विषयांच्या सगळ्या सब्जेक्टच्या तुमच्या कंप्लीट पाहिजे. जेव्हा कॉलेज ओपन होईल फिजिकली होईल त्यावेळेस आम्ही सगळ्या नोट्स चेक करणार, क्वेश्चन आन्सरिंग करणार, तुमचे पूर्ण सिलेबसवरती आपण ट्युटोरियल्स घेणार आहोत. सो पूर्ण सिलेबस तुम्हाला कंप्लीट करायचे आहे. सगळ्यांनी लॅब मॅन्युअल घेतलेलं असेल, लॅब मॅन्युअल सायमल्टेनियसली जसे जसे प्रॅक्टिकल झाले त्यानुसार तुम्हाला सगळ्यांना कंप्लीट करायचे. सो थँक्यू.